Hi.
Here we are once again. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Mary.
And welcome to the Mary and Jerry podcast, where we talk about...
Mary and Jerry.
You know, we have been practicing this kind of...
Where we talk about marriage,
life,
family,
love,
faith,
and bacon.
And everything in between.
Which
Nothing
goes with love.
Is off limits.
Which goes with love. Love, exciting and new. But wait.
Come aboard.
What happens when it's
We're
not exciting and new? What do you do then?
What do you mean when it's not exciting and new?
Okay, first of all, we're gonna get our act together.
What are you doing? You know, the people that watch this on YouTube have got to be just fascinated.
I know.
With the two elder people who know, like, technology is kicking your butt every week.
Well, it's because we're spontaneous and we don't really go,
No. Not we're spontaneous, although I'm usually the more spontaneous of the ones. Today, this is all on you, Bubba.
Okay, cool. So what I was saying is, you know, you're like, love, exciting and new, but what happens when it's not? What happens when you've lost that love and feeling?
Ladies and gentlemen, this will be a podcast where Jerry basically answers every question with a lyric from a song from the 80s or 70s or maybe even the 60s.
We're on a wing and we're halfway there.
1989, Living on a Prayer.
Living on a prayer. That's most of our life. You realize that, of course. We're living on a prayer.
So Jerry comes to me about 10 minutes ago and says, Mary, I've got a great idea for a podcast.
It's not a great idea. This is what the people ask for.
Well, that's true. This is a common question. You know, how to have a better relationship, how to reignite intimacy in your relationship, or if that spark has gone out, what do you do? And I get nervous when we do these types, when we have these kinds of conversations, because Jerry, we're not marriage counselors, we're not therapists, we're not theologians, we're not, teachers. We're just Mary and Jerry who have been married for 35 years and spent most of their young married life messing things up.
But that makes us wise.
Oh, that whole wisdom thing. I'm not even going to go through it again. Anyways, so he brings
it's very true.
It is.
Right? I mean, okay.
It is.
Let's give two facts.
Two facts.
Anybody that says they're perfectly happy every day of their married life
is lying.
Or they're on really good mind-bending drugs. Because let's be honest, marriage, which brings us together today, is a relationship. And like any relationship, it has its ups and downs, its highs and lows, its ins and outs. There I was. I was inverted.
You are now doing flight simulator sign language.
I was inverted.
You were inverted.
That's
inverted. From Top Gun.
I know.
The original.
I know.
Wow, it's going to be that kind of episode. Okay.
So but that's true. I mean, and everybody... let me rephrase that. Hold on.
Everybody loves somebody sometimes.
Oh
my gosh.
Mostly because when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.
Wow, we're just really we're gonna drive this in hard.
We're doing great.
Okay.
But it's true, right? I mean, we've had a lot of conversations with other couples that, they're in the midst of babies. They have 3 kids under 4. They're
teenagers.
Dealing with teenagers. God bless you all. Salute.
Elderly parents.
Yeah, and they're just like...
Or, like, recently I had a conversation with a girlfriend, and she's like, we're basically, we love each other. Nobody's leaving anybody, but we live like roommates.
We're like roommates with benefits.
No, not even the benefits. Like, that seems to have gone away.
Right. So, okay. So
we've done a little work on this in the past, and there's an institute called the Gottman Institute.
Gottman. They are the Gottman, yeah.
They're a marriage therapy institute. They're
are
non-denominational. And so many times when Jerry and I in the past have been in counseling, marriage counseling, we have the therapist has recommended an exercise that the Gottman Institute has on their website.
How do you feel about that? Well, how are you dealing with your stress today? Well, poorly.
So there's this counter or this, what would you call it? Like a system?
Sure.
A
system.
A recipe for
recipes. You know
a better relationship. There's 6 steps.
Sprinkle of this, dash of that.
And so we're just going to kind of go through The 6 steps to a better relationship. Okay. You can find this at thegotmaninstitute.com, I believe. Anyways, okay.
There are steps to a better
relationship. So the first one they call partings, right? And they suggest that you spend 2 minutes at the beginning of your day and at the end of your day when you part from one another, like your husband goes to work or you both go to work.
The reunions is the next one.
Oh, is the next one?
She didn't.
Never mind.
She didn't do her homework.
Partings, no, I just didn't.
Parting is
I
such
have my glasses
sweet
on my
sorrow.
head, not on my eyes.
Yeah, reading is also good too.
Okay, partings. So basically, for 10 minutes per week, you're going to do this, right? So that's like 2 minutes a time, right? I mean, they even like give you the times.
They are the Gutmann Institute, yeah.
So the happy couple makes an effort to learn one thing that is happening in their partner's life that day before saying goodbye in the morning. The goal is to ask questions and learn about the exciting and not so exciting things about your partner's day. And I have to say, we have this down. Like I always ask you before you leave for work, honey, what's on your schedule today? What's it look like today? Because that actually helps me like gird my loins for the rest of the day. Like, is it going to be
gird your loins?
I do like put
because
on
if I tell you I have 5 Zoom calls in a row,
I know that I should greet you that day with a very cold beer, the dog, and the Frisbee, and just go and spend 20 minutes just centering yourself before coming into the house. But I mean, we do that pretty well.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say?
Yes. Gird your loins.
Do you ever ask me about my day?
Oh, sure I do. Right after I ask you what's for dinner.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Right? That's always the first thing is like, now, honey, what are we having for dinner again? Oh, what's on your calendar today?
A lot of the times I'll be like, I don't know. What are you ordering for dinner?
Yeah.
That gets us in trouble sometimes.
Yes, I ask you because you have a full calendar most days too, right?
Yes.
So, it
just looks different.
Yes. So I'm like, okay, so what's on your calendar? Because if you've got a phone call or you've got a coaching session or you're, going over to see the Judester, because I'm like, on the days you see the Judester, I remind you to send me
lots of pictures.
Lots of pictures.
But the thing is that you part well. You look at one another and you say, I see you. I care about you. I'm concerned about your day. And I want to, for us as a Catholic couple, Christian couple, I pray for him I pray for you. I shouldn't say him, for you throughout my day.
Yes.
Like you're like, I've got a really important meeting at 2:00. I put it down on my little list and I'm like, 2:00, pray for Jerry. Say, Hail Mary, Our Father, Hail Mary, glory be. Or, maybe that's the time that I say my rosary, what have you. But what it does is it starts your day in connection with one another.
Yes.
Okay. What's step number 2?
So
Jerry?
then, of course,
suggestion number 2.
There is the reunion when you come together at the end of the day and you have a hug and a smoochie.
That's not what it says.
Yeah, it does. When you see your partner again at the end of the day, share a hug and kiss. Okay, I might have improvised that a little bit. That lasts for at least 6 seconds.
Now, this is important. Why would you want it to last more than, at least 6 seconds?
Because I lover you.
Well, yes. Thank you.
I smoochie you.
But when we were going through some of our marriage tumult, shall we just say?
Tumult. Ooh, there's a good word.
We really didn't even want to touch one another. And so a kiss was like, that's intimate.
This kiss.
You're trying to sing Faith Hill?
Poorly.
From the 1990s.
Poorly, but I did.
Yes, that was something.
Thank you.
Anyways.
My musical knowledge is extensive and varied.
Wow. The point is 6 seconds, like count it out. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000,
I am not going to smooch you and go,
no. My point is it feels like a significant amount
6
of time.
6 seconds is either like 3 butt pats or a good butt squeeze. That's my theory.
Wow. We should put a warning on this.
Just keeping it real, folks.
Okay.
That's how I measure time. Butt squeeze.
Okay, that's enough. We really should put a warning on this episode, I'm afraid.
I'm just saying.
All right.
But so then what do you do?
But why? Why is that important? It's important because it's a reconnection. You've been gone all day.
That's right.
So it's physically reconnecting the two of you together.
Yes.
Okay, but what were you going to say that scares me?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'll save it for later.
All right. So
I was
the
going to
next
sing another song,
suggestion.
but you wait. Hold on, and then it says, "Hold on."
Oh, sorry. Well,
See,
this is
put your glasses on.
category.
Afterwards, have a stress-reducing conversation for at least 20 minutes, or hand me a beer and a Frisbee, and I'll go out and play with the dog.
So this is a great lesson, ladies. This is what, when I was a young married wife, I remember being in your first squadron, VP 11, in Brunswick, Maine, NAS Brunswick, and the captain's wife, the commander's wife, rather, of the squadron. I went over and this is back in the day when you went and had tea with the commander's wife.
Tea or margaritas?
No, that was later. But anyways, the first meeting was always a tea. The new batch of squadron guys would come in, and anybody that was married, their wives would go to tea with the commander's wife. So I would, it was myself and I think 2 other women with our batch of people. There's a lot of people that got married when they were there, but there were a lot of single men coming in as young lieutenants, ensigns, and lieutenants. And lieutenant junior grade, right? Yeah. So I remember being there, and she said one thing that changed her marriage was when her husband would come home from the squadron, he would go upstairs, and for 20 minutes, like they would kiss at the door. She would say, "Welcome
for
home."
At least 6 seconds.
And then he would go upstairs and like disappear for 20 minutes. And she said when he came back down, he was fully engaged. It was like something had shifted in his mind. He was fully engaged in his family.
Right.
And so
I call that cave time.
Yes. So we've done that for 35, pretty much, no, I would say 30.
Well, for the most part,
4
unless
years.
Courtney had a particularly trying day.
Right.
And then
when
you're
Courtney
like,
was alive, yeah.
And then you're like, okay.
Or sometimes, when Jonathan was in had activities or whatever, it made it, in certain seasons, it made it more challenging. But now I still do it. Like you come home and here's the beer, there's the Frisbee, there's the dog. God bless you. Enjoy your time. And then by the time you come back in, we're getting ready for dinner. And it's during dinner, because we're in a season of life where there aren't children at the table. It's the 2 of us. That's when we have our conversation and reconnect from the day.
Right.
So what would you say to a busy young family where there's like 4 or 5 kids under the age of 12 at that table, and mom and dad are trying to reconnect?
Well, that's tough.
That's
I remember that conversation. Son, how was school? Fine. What'd you do at school? Stuff. Was there anything exciting? No. Well, good conversation with you, son.
And you know what? He was homeschooled. So.
And he was homeschooled. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure your teacher is going to give an entirely different report of your day. Just saying.
Oh my God.
But
well, okay. So these things are, there's an ebb and flow to them.
Your mileage may vary.
Right. Yes. And when it was a really, really busy season, we would use those 10 minutes before we went to bed as our time.
Right. Well, yeah, because with that busy season, we'd come home, certain individual in a wheelchair wanted dinner.
Yeah.
So you had to do dinner, bath, bed. And then once that certain individual was tucked in for the night, then we could, even though we had already had dinner and all that, that was more of
could have a conversation.
Snarfing session, because somebody had to eat while they were feeding Courtney, right? So there really is no talking, because you're like eating with one hand, feeding her with the other, which required a great deal of coordination. But then once she went to bed, then we could have that sort of, so honey, how was your day? Which is always a hazardous question with me, because sometimes I would tell you exactly how my day was.
You always tell me exactly how your day is. In case you didn't know, sweet and dear listeners, Mary is a half, glass full kind of girl, and Jerry is a glass half empty kind of guy.
That just means there's more room for bourbon, right? Glass half full, glass half empty. That glass needs more bourbon.
These were suggestions that really helped us. We hope they help you. What is suggestion number 3? That's my turn. Okay.
Your turn, because this is your shtick.
Right. This is called appreciation and admiration. Use an admiration journal to record something small you notice and connect it to a trait you admire in your partner. Now, I have not used a journal. I just tell Jerry. This primes your mind to see the positive traits of your partner instead of focusing on the negative, and also makes your partner feel valued. So one of my top 2 love languages are gift giving and words of affirmation. So this is something that I have always just naturally been good at. However, because it's my number one love language, I deeply desire to receive it as well.
Yes.
Hence the challenge.
Always.
With Mr. Glass Half Empty.
True. And I'm not big on flowers either. But we discussed that in the last podcast.
Okay. So how does someone like yourself,
who
doesn't naturally go to affirmation,
have to work
or
at
appreciation, well, how do you work at it?
I try to be complimentary. I don't think I'm complimentary in the same way that you want me to be complimentary. I mean, sometimes I will comment on your incredibly cute earrings and super cool hair, and when you're like, all looking fly.
Wow.
I try to do that.
Okay.
I try to say, "Oh, honey, how was your day?" And you're like, "Oh, I did this and this." Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Practice makes not perfect, but makes promise.
Yeah.
Right? The promise of improvement. Practice makes improvement. So the more you practice these things, which will feel very foreign in the beginning, as they did to us.
Yes.
The better it becomes. That's why you never quit on one another. That's why you always strive to see and know and hear and love the other person.
Even when they annoy you.
Oh, yes, indeed. Okay, Jer, let's go to the number 4, which is what, honey?
Affection.
Affection.
Make sure to embrace each other.
Why are you reading it in that voice?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is my favorite one.
This is your favorite one.
Make sure you have a really good butt
Sweetheart.
grab before bed. It says make sure to
Stop!
embrace each other before falling asleep, cuddling, or goodnight kiss. Now, as we discussed yesterday, some people are just not cuddlers in bed because they're Genghis Khan and they want to conquer as much territory as possible. Like we literally have friends that will stretch out their arms like this to make sure that they have
nobody can
sufficient
touch anybody else.
That's
when
like
sleeping.
their Berlin Wall, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And that's like you do not cross the demilitarized zone into their side of the bed.
Okay, but we're not those people.
Oh no!
And if
I
that
violate
is you,
your
you violate my airspace all the time. Anyways, okay, shush. Nope. He's saying nothing. Anyways, my point here is
affection, right? I think we try to
hug and kiss before bed.
Think of these moments of affection as a way to let go of the minor stressors that have built up over the day.
The minor annoyances.
You could have some, have some.
Jerry. Jerry.
I was just going to suggest more stress reduction.
No, Jerry.
It could lead to.
You don't even know.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
Save me, Jesus, help me.
I'm just saying.
Moving on.
I can be.
I think y'all can figure out affection.
Seriously though, if you go for 35 minutes a day, what is that?
35 minutes a day? That's what it says?
No, 35 minutes per week. I would think we can do better than that. I'm just saying.
Okay. Date night. Number 5, date night.
Okay.
This is actually important.
Yeah, let's talk about date night.
During your date, ask open-minded questions and focus on turning towards each other. The important quote-unquote we time is a relaxing and romantic way to stay connected to one another.
Okay, now date night really is all about not letting you eat all the appetizers and making sure that we have picked the proper restaurant. Because whenever we go out on date night, I'm like, where do you want to go? Well, I don't know. Where do you want to go? I'm like...
Okay, let's move on beyond the restaurant choice to the actual meal conversation, shall we?
Well, sometimes we have conversations. Sometimes we're those people in the restaurant that we sit there and go, what do you think that couple's talking about?
We actually do that.
Do you think they're having a fight? I wonder what they're saying. He's probably saying to her, did you ever...
We've been present when people have proposed. That's been kind of cool.
Have you ever played one of those games where you like try to pretend what they're saying because you can tell that they're having a really intense conversation
and they're maybe fighting or not fighting. Well,
yes, we're those people.
Sometimes we'll actually reenact it at our own table. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, we give the waiter an extra big tip that night.
Like, what do you think? I think this is what's going on, and then it's like an NFL pro football game play-by-play. Like, oh, did you see that? He put his napkin down and is going to the restroom with a really strong stride. He's not happy. Yeah.
Yep. We're those people.
We're those people.
But
let's talk about the conversation. It can be a very hard thing to have a conversation during date night when you have not connected at all during the week or the 2 weeks or however often.
This is very true. Yes.
It's been since you've been sitting alone at a table across the way from your spouse.
I know. Remember that we used to try to have date night with when Courtney was alive. And
I would
Courtney
get
and
a
Jonathan,
sitter.
and we'd sit there and we go.
And we talk about our kids.
I know.
Because we didn't know what to talk about with one another.
I know. And I'm like, and then we'd like stare at each other like, okay, what do we
And then
talk
the waiter
about
would
now?
come, would you like dessert? And we're like, no, we're good. Thanks. And we just go home.
But you're right. That is very
But we
important
tried.
because this is one of the things we've talked about, I think, in an earlier podcast is you have to remember that even when you're in the midst of, what do you call them, littles or toddlers or teenagers or whatever, that you're still a couple.
Yeah.
And that
marriage comes first.
Not going to lie, it takes some effort to say, okay, we're not going to talk about the kids tonight. We're not.
We actually did make a rule when Jonathan was in middle school that if we actually got the opportunity to leave the house on a date night,
right,
we would not talk about the children.
Yeah. And that was hard. It's
Oh
like, okay, what else do we talk about?
So we talked about what we ate a lot of the
Well, we
time.
did talk about food, but we talked
Politics.
about books, politics, movies,
Yeah.
extended family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got to dessert, we were talking about us.
Yeah.
But the point is to, as Jerry says all the time, stay in the fight, right? You make the time and take the time, right? So to spend with one another so that you can
Ooh, can we get a
be
t-shirt?
in relationship.
Make the time, take the time. Boom.
And it has to say boom.
Yeah. Boom.
Okay. All right. So the last thing, number 6, they call it a State of the Union meeting, which basically is once a week. They say once a week. You talk about what's going on in your week. It's kind of like what we do on Sundays when we call it the planning week. We have a planning conversation. Like, hey, you've got a late meeting on this day.
I call that a calendar coordination meeting.
Coordination,
okay, so
yes.
what's going on this week that we have to be aware of? Oh, Tuesday night we have this, Wednesday night we have that.
The
because
dog has
you know
to
what
go to
that
doggy
affects?
Daycare. Well, what's for dinner?
What's for dinner? Exactly. See?
And our stress level. Like if we know it's going to be like if there's stuff going on at church and there's stuff going on, with family or what have you, and there's going to be later afternoons, later evenings, we're both at a season in life where we're not real big on going out during the week, just because we both require an enormous amount of sleep.
Yes.
And we're happier when we're in bed by 9:30 at night. Like we're just happier people.
Right.
And we're calmer people. So that's different than 10 years ago when, we'd be out on a Tuesday until 10 o'clock at night, 10:30, after teaching CCD, the teams would get together and chat and stuff like that. So it just depends on who needs the most sleep, where you are. But we also have something we call a dream date. And we do that once. Actually, they say to do it once a year. We don't. We do it once every 6 months.
Right.
We do it in January and we do it in June.
That's when I get out my whiteboard.
Oh my gosh.
She hates it when I get out the whiteboard. But I'm like, if we're going to do this, we're going to make this a formal strategic planning process.
Y'all.
Now the waiter,
My
it's
ADHD
a little awkward
cannot...
when I have the whiteboard at the restaurant.
You do not have
I
the
know, I
whiteboard
was
at the
kidding.
restaurant.
I
You
was
have it in
kidding.
our living room. Now, on that date, we've done it a couple different ways.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually had dear friends over and we strategized together.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten a hotel room in the last 10 years. We've gotten a hotel room, go overnight. Yes, he does bring the whiteboard to the hotel room. And that way, no, we're not concentrating on anything happening around the house. We have the dog in boarding, and it's just you and me talking about you and me and where God is leading us and our family in the next 6 months.
That's right.
So I like it when we do that. We've only done that like 3 or 4 times. You like it when we're at home.
Because I'm home.
No.
I could have.
I still have to cook. That's not a date for me.
To be fair, we do get
Let's hear it.
takeout sometimes.
Sometimes.
But your cooking is so yummy. I
But
like
it's-
your cooking.
I know you like my cooking, and I do enjoy cooking. However,
Ow.
Sorry.
Oops, ow. Oh, that was my foot.
That was your foot?
Ow.
I didn't touch your foot, but boy, you sure made that camera shake.
No, we're not having an earthquake here. That was my foot bumping the table. Ow.
Wow, we are so amateurs.
Ow, that hurt. Anyway.
I'm so sorry that hurt you.
Back to the topic at hand.
The topic at hand is Mary doesn't like to cook on date nights.
No, on State of the Union meeting, strategic planning. But so what do we cover?
Or date nights, which is why we have date nights.
Well, yeah, that's why they're date nights.
Uh-huh.
Get some apps, a little drink, you get a cappuccino, you get dessert, all the things.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so back to the strategic planning. So we divide it up into different topics, right? So we try to cover everything, right? We talk about
personal dreams,
our personal dreams and goals. Talk about my
financial
honey lamb's business goals, because they inevitably involve the technical support guy.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about financial goals. We talk about
spiritual
goals and maybe family goals. So we try to cover all the things, right? And then we try to break them down. See, the trick to doing a strategic planning meeting, you have to break it down into little bite-sized chunks that people can do.
He says to his ADHD wife.
Yeah, because you have to make a checklist. Because
Yes.
if my honey lamb doesn't have to make a checklist, she is like a ping pong ball in a dryer in a hurricane.
It's not good.
Not good.
Not good.
So we have to say, okay, here, you have to have this little project.
Yeah, this Monday, this is your number one thing to get done.
Right.
Boom. And then if you have time or creative energy, if you can go to 2 and 3, that would be great. And if that doesn't get done, two becomes number one of the next day. I mean, that's just how my brain works. So, and that's while taking care of everything else that I'm required to take care of in our home.
Right.
So, which I've done for 35 years. So
exactly.
Whether I've worked outside the home or I've
so
like I do now where I work from home.
Dun, 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 dun. That's
why are you showing the sheet of notes?
6 steps to a better 6 hours. It says 6,
it's 6 hours to a better relationship.
But wait, there's more.
There is?
Yeah, there's this thing.
Oh, you printed out something else. Oh my gosh. Okay. So again, this is from the Gottman Institute. So a couple of things on how
what's it say?
To
Yep, it is Gottman.com. Gottman.com. Okay.
So eat meals together without screens. This is to create more intimacy within your marriage, because a lot of people are like the flame went out. We love one another, but there's no spark anymore. Well, intimacy doesn't begin in the bedroom. Intimacy begins, just in your friendship and in your relationship. So these are our 5 ways that you can create or reestablish or create a foundational platform for intimacy to grow within your marriage. Yes?
Right.
Okay. So eat meals together without screens. That's like challenging for people.
Yeah.
It's challenging for people that live in this house.
Guilty.
Yes. Very challenging. And so we have a rule. We have a basket by our front door when you come into the house. Even our guests do this. They're so accommodating. They put their phones in the basket, and we have there's some people that keep it with them. But when we are at the dinner table, there are no phones. There are no phones. There are no screens, and that helps us to actually look at one another and talk to one another. We're not distracted.
Yep, which can be good. It's
very good,
or not so good, depending on the conversation.
Well, yeah, depending on what has to be said. What's the next one, Jer?
Okay, this that I love, exercise together. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Now, what we do, so here's another thing that we've done that my honey lamb does during certain seasons of the year.
When it's cool.
Sometimes instead of tossing the frisbee,
we go for a walk.
We will take a walk with Madam
Maggie
with the puppy harness.
She just turned her head
looked
to
at
us like, wait, we're going somewhere?
Did somebody say the W word?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, she did. She's like, what?
Wait.
What?
What's going on?
What's going on? Because that, you get out of the house, you take a little walk.
Yep.
Maggie sniffs everything.
Yep.
Hopefully does her business. And then you have that time to talk again without a lot of distractions, except when the dog sees another dog. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
But exercise together. That
Have a stress-reducing conversation.
What is that like?
Well, okay. What is our rule? This actually goes to our rule, our bedtime rule. We have one bedtime rule other than pray together.
Don't go to bed mad?
That's your bedtime rule.
Yes, that's mine.
Okay. No. What is the rule? We don't talk about anything difficult, i.e. the budget, i.e. the presidential election, i.e. our blood work results from the doctor, whatever it is that will cause strife, cause stress.
Before bedtime.
Or needs further conversation before bedtime.
Yeah.
The budget being the number one.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
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 Uh-huh. Ask me how I know.
Mm-hmm.
Because he asks this all the time. And I'm like, it is 10 minutes before we're turning out lights. This is an illegal. You are being fined and you are being,
Well, you got a 15-yard penalty?
Yeah, I'm giving you the red card. You are off the pitch, mister. Off the pitch. You do not ask me those questions 10 minutes before I go to bed. Nope.
Okay.
No. That happens after dinner. That's all off the table.
Oh,
in my opinion. That is not the truth of what happens in this house. You usually wait until after ice cream for me to.
Well, because you're in a better mood to talk after ice cream.
And I guess, again, the suggestion is always to keep dating, right? If you spent time with your spouse before you got married, you spent money on them, you thought about them, you couldn't be without them. You remember what that felt like. You were the only person I wanted to be with.
Oh.
Wow.
Ruby.
That's what I get.
Well, you were the only person I wanted to be with too, but I was surrounded by 4,500 other midshipmen.
Right. But when we were together, it was you and me.
True. And sometimes your little sister who'd pop up behind the couch and go, Jesus, he's watching. If we started to do that 6-second kiss.
Very true.
On the couch.
It's more like a 60-second kiss, but okay.
Oh, whatever. Anyway.
But yeah, so if you were willing to date them before you got married, why are we all of a sudden not willing to date them after we get married?
Okay.
Somebody said to me when I asked that question in a conversation, they said, well, because they're a sure thing. I'm like, no, they're not. Nobody's a sure thing. Like, that's taking advantage of your spouse. Jerry's not a sure thing. Jerry is my husband who I respect and whose relationship with I choose to nurture and whose, I don't know why we always get a phone call when we're trying to, that's Jesus saying, wrap it up, Mary. But I respect you. I love you. I cherish you. And I know what it's like to be on the edge of a divorce, of the idea of not having you in my life on that intimate level. And I never, ever wish to be there again. So I take nothing for granted.
Good point.
And this is where you, with your words of affirmation.
Oh
my gosh.
No, I was gathering my thoughts.
No, you weren't.
Okay, no,
you're like, wow, she loves me.
She loves me.
She loves me so much.
Yes,
I do.
I remember when I used to, be.
You used to write love letters.
When I used to be heading out to my Mustang to head up to Rockville, and the boys would say, "Jer, going to see the wife and kids." Because it's like, that's what I did every weekend.
Yeah.
That was like my thing. And I'm like, yes, I have a girlfriend and you don't. Eat it, suckers.
Okay, but 37 years after that.
I got a cool wife, dun, 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 who, has super cool earrings and makes me yummy food.
There it is.
Loves me.
Uh-huh.
Well, you knew it was all going to come down to the food at some point, right?
At some point.
Uh-huh. But
I'm a pretty fun date.
You're a very fun date.
And we have a lot of fun together.
We do now.
Yes, we didn't always.
Didn't always.
For sure.
Just being honest. But we do.
I would
we
say,
have
especially in the last 15 years, we have a heck of a lot of fun.
We have a lot of fun now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Praise
is
God.
surprising to some people, I think.
After everything
we've gone through, we're like, you guys still like each other.
We do.
And I'm like, Yeah.
And we still annoy the baloney out of each other. So let's be very clear here.
Well, hey, nobody drives you crazier than the person you love the most, right?
As I say to him all the time, I am not going anywhere, but Lord have mercy, you drive me so batty that I really do envision murdering you in your sleep sometimes. But I won't do it. I just...
Because you don't look good in orange.
There's nobody that makes me crazier than you do.
So let's talk about the final topic.
What's
actual intimacy.
Oh, sex.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. So, yeah. So how does that work when you're
don't ask me how it works.
Okay,
that's
poor
for sixth
choice
grade
of
health
words.
class.
Poor choice of words. How do you, when you get to the bedroom part, how do you reignite that spark
your time.
the bedroom?
Take
Okay,
your time.
Take your time.
Take your time. Take your time.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
When we were young, time was...
We had a great deal of enthusiasm.
Yes. And we did not take a lot of time. But we were young. Now we are not young. And so time...
So now it's more of a quality over quantity
That is
thing,
correct.
because
But also, what does that do? When you take the time to be intimate with one another, you take the time to literally see the other person, to touch the other person, to be with the other person, to talk to the other person. Remember, it's not lust. And we fell into that for decades.
Right.
It's not lust. Lust is wanting my pleasure over anything else.
Right.
But to love someone means that I'm willing to give up my pleasure in order to make sure that you have pleasure. Okay? So.
Or we do it together.
Wow. Why did you? That's what.
Like the Blue Angels, perfectly synchronized. There I was, inverted.
Oh, God. Jerry, please stop.
And always remember my one important rule for intimacy.
No.
Don't do anything that you would not want to explain to the EMTs.
Oh no, this really just, it went there. We went there.
It went there. Sure did.
I can't. Okay. I can't.
You can't look up.
Y'all,
I'm not looking.
For women, 90% of sex happens in their brain. Okay. It's all mental for us. And so when we feel seen, known, loved, appreciated, cherished.
Bada bing.
Oh my gosh. We're going to get kicked out of the podcasting world.
Why?
Because you say things like that.
Rumor zoom zoom.
Oh my, please stop. Please. I am now going to duct tape your lips. Please stop. Don't just no. No, resist the three things that just popped into your head right now. No, just resist.
Okay.
Now.
Yes.
Take your time.
Yes.
It will not always be perfect. But when you both are present to the other,
it's glorious.
It's glorious and wonderful as it should be, as the Lord made it to be. Now, let's go to our not so newlywed game question, shall we?
Oh.
That's what we call a transition. Let's go. Come on.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
I can't because you're going to
feared.
I'm so afraid right now. My heart is racing. I'm sweating.
See, I still make your heart race after 35
Not for
years.
all the reasons it should be, for different reasons, as in, oh my gosh, he's going to say something that's, you can't take that. You do that laugh. Stop it. This is the not so newlywed game laugh.
What are the top 5 things on your bucket list?
Top 5 things on my bucket list. Okay.
That's the question.
Are you going to answer the question too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to...
See, these are fun things to do on date night, right?
Yes.
Talking point cards, got them on Amazon.
Oh
if you're like, what are we going to talk about? Just grab one of these bad boys.
And take it with you.
And
Okay, top 5 things on my bucket list.
Yep.
I would like to go on a bougie river cruise, or I don't know what kind of cruise it is, but I would like to go to Guernsey and Ireland and Wales and England. And I really would like to do that.
So basically you want to be a Viking?
Yes.
Okay.
But bougie Viking. Okay.
That's right. With these superior pointed little helmet
That's right.
hat. Okay.
Diamonds. I want to be a bougie Viking.
Oh
I want to go to Banff, when there's snow
Oh,
and
the
everything.
Christmas train?
Christmas train. I want to take the Christmas train. I would love to do that. I would like to one day have a cabin in the woods with a lake or a river, a log cabin where our family can be together and it's off the beaten track and we're just together. I would love to have something like that one day. It's a bucket list for mine.
Okay.
Let me see. They said 4 things?
5 things. You've got
5
3.
things. Okay. I would like to travel to Europe with you and to go on one of those Stephen Ambrose historical bougie tours with you where you can go on to Normandy and you'll weep and I'd like to do that.
Wow.
And then I would like to renovate our home, like to the studs.
I'm right here. What do you want to renovate about me?
Oh, yeah, that is not on the question, and I am going to choose not to answer that.
On the advice of counsel.
On the advice of counsel called Jesus. Close your mouth, Mary.
Yes,
the Holy Spirit
I respectfully decline to incriminate myself.
The Holy Spirit just came in and said, shush. Okay, those are 5 things on my bucket list.
Okay. So what are the top 5 things on my bucket list? Okay.
Normandy.
Yeah, we need to take a really super cool Stephen Ambrose tour.
Yeah.
We need to take you to London so we can go to High Tea and go to Fortnum and Mason and we can watch the changing of the God and go to the tower. And then we go to the tank.
Oh, excellent.
And then we go to the Tank Museum. And then we go to the Imperial War Museum.
Yeah.
When they are having like the little tank exhibition where they drive them around. Super cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 3, we take one of those Rhine River or Danube River cruises. That would be very cool.
Hungary.
Yeah.
And Budapest.
Yes. And, we just like drink our way down the river. Okay, so that's 3. 4, I want to publish books. All the books.
You want to write and publish books.
Well, you have to write them to publish. I want to be a published author.
I already got that one.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you very much. That's right. You're sleeping with a published author. Move on.
Okay.
Number 4. 4? Was that 4?
That was 4.
Number 5.
Number 5. Yeah, cabin in the woods would be kind of cool. I mean, I could also.
I like to be by water, or maybe on the beach.
I could go for a beach house.
Yeah. Where you walk out the back door.
Very bougie.
Yeah.
Where you can go up on your balcony and look out over the ocean, but you're in your balcony so that your wet bar is right there. See, that's the key. Is that 5?
That's 5.
Yeah, baby.
Woo! Good job, honey.
Okay, let's see.
One day, if the Lord so blesses us.
No, that's a stupid question.
Okay, you get one more question.
Nope, we already asked that question.
Okay. You got to take the ones we've already asked out of the deck.
What's one career you wish you could have? Why?
Me? One career I wish I could have and why?
Yeah.
Oh. I've always dreamed of being the Catholic Oprah Winfrey.
What does that even mean?
To have your own.
You win.
To the car.
No, not the car. What is it? You win absolution. Everybody wins absolution. Really? That's what you want to do?
I would love to have a television show and to be interviewing all these fabulous people, whether they're Catholic or Christian or whatever. Just get to know people and their stories and let it be uplifting and let it be inspiring and encouraging.
Weirdly, I could totally see you doing that.
I know, right? That would be so fun.
I could totally see you doing that.
And I'd have this awesome wardrobe. And I'd have the best
You'd have
shoes.
people. I'd have
people
staff.
to do my hair and makeup.
That's right. I'd have staff. I'd have a personal assistant. I'd
have a personal trainer.
Personal trainer, personal chef. Yeah,
I would because, she made a lot of money. And so you can have those things.
If you were a Catholic Oprah, you would not be making a lot of money. Just to be clear. That would be like way too
I just
bougie.
think that would be so, I would have so much fun with that.
Oh, you would.
Okay. What about you?
What career would I most like to have? Oh, I would love to be a history professor
I was going to say
at the Naval Academy.
At the Naval Academy, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that would be fun. I could live in Annapolis again.
Oh, you would totally love it.
Downtown in one of those cute little townhouses.
Not that I'd want to live in Maryland because they're all crazy, but Annapolis I might make an exception for maybe.
Yeah, we could be in the skybox for the
If I had a boat. Boat would be cool.
Boat would be cool.
Boat would be cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very cool. All right.
There we are.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, since this podcast was brought to you by a question left in our question on the bat phone, on the bat line.
Let's give them that number, folks.
Let's give them that number for next time.
So first of all,
please hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. Leave a comment. Leave a review, even if it's y'all suck. That's okay too.
No, it's not. We want 5 stars. No.
Please do continue to ask us questions and give us topics on what you'd like to hear here at the Mary and Jerry podcast.
That number is
571-354-0351.
Again, that's
571-354-0351.
Ooh, that's good voice.
Thank you. That's good radio voice.
Good radio voice.
All right.
And
until next time.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Mary.
And thank you for listening to the
Mary and Jerry podcast.
Have
a great day, guys. Oh, we have leading out music.
Of course we do.
Okay. Until next time.
We could use a Star Wars thing. Dun, 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 dun.